All right, welcome into the Talk to a podcast with UP Power podcast. We got to get on there.
Yeah.
I think that's where all the big time celebs are going these days. But Keegan, Friday edition of the podcast because I was at Houghton on Tuesday. We will get to high school football in a moment. Look ahead to Friday night's games. Talk about last week, where we're going from here. Week 6 already. Next week, playoffs are going to be here before we know it. But playoffs that are going to be here sooner. Major League Baseball. The Detroit Tigers, what a run this has been. They're now 85-74. They were 55-63, I believe, after the All-Star break. Just an incredible run. They've gotten some help from the Minnesota Twins, and as we sit here on Friday afternoon, the magic number is 1, meaning 1 Tigers win or 1 Twins loss will do it. They will be in the playoffs, so that also means the Tigers would have to lose out, and the Twins would have to win out for them to be out of the playoffs again. I can't believe we're here, and it's the White Sox coming to Comerica this weekend. The red-hot White Sox, we must say. But at the same time, I think the Tigers will clinch a playoff spot this weekend. Crazy to think that we got here.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the All-Star break and where they were, this was not something that was on anybody's mind.
They had a great month of July, but even that shouldn't have been enough at that time to get them in this position where they are now. It's really since August 10th when they've been exceptional, only 10 losses since then over the past 6 or so weeks. But yeah, that magic number being 1 is just crazy to think about. Like I said, they got some help from the Twins, but the way they've played baseball, different guy in the lineup, stepping up every night. The bullpen has been awesome. Jason Foley's been awesome, closing a lot of these games. And they just called up their number one prospect in all of baseball, in Jackson Jobe. Everything's coming up Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, the Tigers, never say never. They could make something special happen here come the postseason, and just get it done tonight too. I think get the win tonight, and then not that the other 2 games don't matter, because maybe you want to win them and just improve that record a little bit more.
Well, the nice thing, if they clinch Friday or Saturday, which I think they will, because, again, you only need a Twins loss or a win against the White Sox, who have 39 wins. So then they don't have to throw Tarek Skubal out there on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I think they'll have that luxury of sitting him the rest of the regular season, having him ready to go for the postseason, which I believe begins the middle of next week. So, rolling in there, right away to have the Cy Young Award winner on the mound in a 3-game playoff series is absolutely massive. And I think that they will get there. But it depends on what happens this weekend still. They are 11 games over 500. I believe it's the first time they're 10 games over 500 in almost a decade.
Yeah, so I was, 12, 13 last time?
It's been a lot of bad years in Detroit when it comes to baseball, and, people might forget what that place was like in 2012.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to go back to the Tiger Stadium days to when they won a World Series, but those Miggy years when they had the pitching with Verlander and Scherzer and Rick Porcello for a time, those guys were awesome, and it's good to have a new group, a very young group, that is just as exciting to watch as those guys were about a dozen years ago.
Yeah, and I think what we've seen about these young guys is they kind of started to figure it out, and it took them maybe a little bit longer than some other players, but they figured it out, and they're put themselves in a position to be in the playoffs and to probably make some noise in the playoffs. I don't want to talk too far forward, but to make some noise and maybe win some games here in the postseason.
Because we're recording this on Friday and we won't sit down again until Tuesday, when we know what the playoffs will look like, it's interesting to look at what their matchups could be, because they are tied with the Kansas City Royals for the second wild card spot, technically. Obviously, they don't have to beat out the Royals to be in the playoffs, but where they are right now, they don't have the tiebreaker over the Royals, so they're in the 6th spot in the American League playoffs. That would send them to play Houston on the road, of course. I believe for all 3 games of the wild card series, that's what they do. So that's tough. The alternative would be if they beat out the Royals this weekend, playing Baltimore. who lost in the wild card series a year ago after winning their division to the Texas Rangers, who won't be in the playoffs this season. The defending World Series champions are not going to be in the picture. So I don't know. Who would you rather play, Houston or Baltimore? I know my answer.
Oh, that's tough. I mean, Houston's. I think I have to say Baltimore.
I would agree.
I have to say
just
Baltimore.
because of what the Astros have done in the playoffs over the past 10 years.
Yeah, I mean they're
pretty much in the ALCS every year.
Yeah.
It seems like that was the case again last year. Of course, the first half of this year didn't look like they were going to be in the playoffs at all. Well, they just won the AL West again, like they always seemingly do. Obviously, Baltimore's a tough team. Really good young lineup, a lot like the Tigers. They have high-end pitching. Corbin Burns would be out there for Game 1. That's a great pitching matchup. The starter in the All-Star game in Corbin Burns, Tarek Skubal easily could have been the starter in the All-Star game. That would be a matchup for the ages. And then, if they play the Astros, you have Verlander against the Tigers in the playoffs. That's an interesting dynamic. I know it's been a long time, but a good storyline for sure heading into the playoffs. So it will more than likely be one of those two teams that they are squaring off with, and Cleveland and New York will be waiting in the divisional round. So we'll see how it plays out this weekend, but in all likelihood, the Tigers will be in the MLB postseason. Now, the Brewers are locked into the 3 spot as a division winner, but they're not quite where the Phillies and the Dodgers are. Even if, San Diego is going to be in a wild card spot, they can't hop up to number 3. So the Brewers are locked in. Right now it's the Diamondbacks that they'd be taking on, who went to the World Series out of a wild card spot last year. The other wild cards currently are the New York Mets and San Diego Padres. I think it'll stay that way unless the Braves, how about the weather in Georgia, postponing those 2 games between the Braves and the Mets late in the season. If those games matter, 2 of them will be played on Monday, a doubleheader. Talk about setting your pitching pack for the first round of the postseason. I would be really upset if I was a fan of either of those 2 teams and I had to use pitchers in a doubleheader on Monday and then go play a 3-game series.
Yeah, so do you dive deep into your rotation and save your
It depends on the situation,
sure,
right?
Yeah. If it's a winner, go home, basically. You probably got to.
And then I guess if the second game doesn't matter, they won't play it. At the same time, the Royals taking on the Braves this weekend. They were supposed to avoid Max Fried and Chris Sale. Well, now those 2 games got canceled, and the Royals have to see them. So that bodes well for the Tigers as well. So the Braves are 1 game out of a wild card spot right now, behind both the Mets and the Diamondbacks. So the Brewers could end up playing any one of those 3 teams. The Padres are high enough up, or they'll be squaring off with the other wild card teams. So, we'll see how the National League playoffs shape up as well, but the Brewers locked into their spot right now with 91 wins.
Big weekend for Major League Baseball.
I'm excited for the playoffs because I haven't watched a lot of baseball this year, as you might understand. My team is the worst team ever. So I'm really looking forward to October. Let's just stay with professional sports and go to the NFL real quick. We got a big one in Green Bay this Sunday.
Yeah.
It's a fun Week 4 matchup between the Packers and the Vikings. The Vikings, of course, 3-0. Sam Darnold is their quarterback. I think everyone's appropriately giving Kevin O'Connell, the head coach of the Vikings, his flowers for what he's done with Sam Darnold over 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
And also very appropriately giving Matt LaFleur a lot of love for what he's done with the Packers offense over the past 2 weeks, with Malik Willis, of all people, signed off the street. Not really, he was with the Titans still, but Malik Willis, whenever he's been a starting quarterback in the NFL, it has not gone well. And 2 games with the Packers, he's 2-0. It's gone perfectly well.
Yeah, no, it has. I love the graphic that they showed during the game. Malik Willis, 27 days ago, was a Titan, and now he's this. Jordan Love's out, so now he's the starter for the Green Bay Packers
against the Titans
and is winning games. You never know when your number's going to get called, and I think Malik has answered that call. Now, obviously, yeah, there's some things that he needs to improve on. That goes for any athlete out there, but he's doing the job right now. Do we see Jordan Love on Sunday?
I think we do. I think there's no way we don't.
Yeah, I don't think you can play.
Just because he has been practicing limited all week on the injury report, and they've left him questionable heading into the last two games. Even that game against Indianapolis, just a week removed from his injury, he was still questionable, wasn't ruled out until the day of. So I have a feeling we won't know officially until Sunday morning, but I have a hunch Love will be out there. Just because he's been practicing, he may not quite be 100%, but this is a big game for a Week 4 game because, well, if you think about it, Vikings could move to 4-0. That would put the Packers at 2-2, and then the Lions have a tough game against another 3-0 team, Seattle, on Monday night.
Yeah, so it's kind of a big week for the division. Does Matt LaFleur change his offensive approach if Jordan Love is in the lineup and
Yes,
not
he
100%?
will.
So are they going to stay on the ground? Are they going to rely on their guys on the ground,
Well,
or do you want to get your receivers involved?
You think about the game that Jacobs had against Indianapolis.
Yeah.
He was awesome.
Yeah, he was phenomenal.
You know, they didn't actually need to use him as much against Tennessee, but Emmanuel Wilson was great with that touchdown. So, yeah, I think there is an adjustment, but if I'm a Packers fan, I trust Matt LaFleur, and you know what? I trust Jeff Hafley, too, with the defense right now. I know they haven't been going up against great offenses. Week 1, it was, weird game, first game of the year in Brazil. Yeah. And then you have Saquon Barkley on the opposing sideline. So they didn't look great in that one, but I think we give them a break. And then they've gone up against two pretty low-tier quarterbacks in Anthony Richardson and Will Levis, both playing the AFC South.
They're on the 7th row of the pyramid, I think?
They're down there. But at the same time, I think you have to be happy with what the defense has done against those two guys, exactly what it should have done to help out, the banged-up offensive side of the ball. It's worked wonders these past 2 weeks. Really, that Tennessee game, never in doubt. The Indianapolis game got a little frisky in the end, but you trusted that defense. So we'll see what they dial up against Sam Darnold and the Vikings. He was hurt a little bit in that 49ers game. He'll be out there for sure on Sunday. What I would be nervous about, whether it's Jordan Love or Malik Willis, is the Minnesota defense has been putting quarterbacks in a blender. C.J. Stroud, Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy.
Two quarterbacks we consider higher-tier quarterbacks in the NFL. Well, they haven't looked very good against Brian Flores, and the looks that he gives these quarterbacks, he just confuses them, even some of the best guys in the league.
Yeah, I'm looking at the sack total right now for the Vikings defense, and it's
and they don't have a lot of big-name guys on that defense.
No, they don't. I think it's just a solid.
And Daniil Hunter went to the Texans and then lost to him.
7, 8, 9, 13, 15, 16, 17. Sorry, 16 total sacks already this year.
Through 3 games. That's darn impressive.
That's ridiculous. That is insane.
So that's what I would be nervous about. If I'm a Packer fan.
Yeah, and
I think that's what might elevate this Minnesota team to a certified playoff team. Obviously, 3-0 is a great start, but Kevin O'Connell said yesterday you don't hang banners for 3-0, which I like that line a lot.
I do, and here's the thing too: if Green Bay's offensive scheme is going to change a little bit, regardless of who's in there, whether it's Malik or Jordan Love.
Correct.
But with the linebackers that the Vikings have, that ball's going to have to get out quick if they're going to decide to throw. And if they decide to keep it on the ground, you're going to have to find gaps. And there's not going to be a lot of gaps in the Minnesota Viking defense.
No, you think about, obviously San Francisco didn't have McCaffrey, and they won't have McCaffrey for a while here.
Yeah.
He went to Germany to see a doctor. I don't think that's a great sign for the 49ers. But they ran the ball great against New York week 1. And then, like you said, Minnesota did not allow that to happen whatsoever. Texans more of a passing team. I think they put up 7 points in that game. Yeah, it might end up being a defensive battle. We'll find out Sunday afternoon. Should be fun at Lambeau. Let's switch over to Monday night. Seattle coming into Ford Field, where they won week 2 last season against these Lions. I don't really know how I feel about the Seahawks. They're a little confusing to me. I haven't really watched them play, but they are 3-0. Mike McDonald, the youngest head coach in the NFL, obviously was the defensive coordinator in Baltimore last year, where they've always had a good defense. He gets the gig in Seattle. Their defense looks really good.
Yeah.
Devin Witherspoon's one of my favorite players in the NFL, really. And, yeah, the Seahawks are good. The Lions also good. So this is a great matchup. I believe the other Monday night game is a complete bummer. I can't remember who it is.
I will look for. Oh, Titans-Dolphins.
Yeah, that's a big bummer.
See, the Dolphins will win. I'm pretty confident to say that.
With Tim Boyle as the quarterback?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I think the Titans get their first win.
The Titans get their first.
If Will Levis doesn't make a colossal error, where he's throwing it out of the back of the end zone or just flipping it up or flipping it.
Give it to Tyreek.
He just gives the ball away.
Yeah,
Tyreek's
just going to have to go get it against the Titans. Just throw it up.
Do you trust Tim Boyle or Skylar Thompson to get him the ball?
I think Tyreek's running curls.
I don't know. The Dolphins need to figure out how long Tua is going to be out.
I think unfortunately he's done. I think he's done.
But he's just on IR and is planning to come back. So
he's had 4 concussions?
I believe the number is 4.
2?
Yeah, none last year, 2022. I think he had 2 or 3.
2 or 3, yeah.
Not good in Miami. I don't know at what point do they go get Russell Wilson, who doesn't look like he's going to play in Pittsburgh because Justin Fields is doing well. I don't know. You just have all this shuffling in the NFL with quarterbacks because so many of them, unfortunately, get hurt, and that's the reality. Yeah. So 2-1 Lions. I would feel confident coming back into your building after getting a road win over a Cardinals team that was impressive through 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. That hook and ladder play was awesome.
It was, phenomenal. Yeah.
I'm surprised they hadn't done that before because it worked to perfection.
It worked great. And
you just think about Amon-Ra St. Brown catches a pass over the middle. Everyone's going to collapse on him because that guy can run, and he's not afraid to take a big hit. So that's where the defense went, and he just little hook. That's what it is to Jahmyr Gibbs, who's one of the fastest guys in the NFL. And it's like, oh, boom, touchdown. We had the defense going the other way. Ben Johnson, big brain.
Big brain. I need the Lions to get Sam Laporta involved more.
Okay.
I need it.
I'm with that.
Not just for my fantasy, but I think that
is he
down the
play?
Stretch, is he going to play? Questionable. I'm looking at him right now.
Because he was carted off.
Yeah, I mean,
Frank Ragnow's not playing.
If he's not, then Brock Wright is going to have to be big. I think the Lions are the best, not just because here, this is my thought process late in the season. Teams are going to key in on Amon-Ra St. Brown, and they're going to put him in double coverage, and he's not going to be open. They're going to collapse the middle and try to stop the run game the best they can.
Sure, but I have so much trust in the Lions playmakers because David Montgomery, what does he do? He just gets extra yards. Jahmyr Gibbs is so fast. He can break free. Mm-hmm. You saw that in the playoffs last year. I think a lot is dependent on what Jameson Williams can do because, he was great in that first game against the Rams. And you think about the Lions losing Josh Reynolds, no one really talks about that, but I think that's significant because he caught a lot of passes for first downs last year. He didn't catch a big one in the NFC Championship game, but overall Josh Reynolds was really good, and I think Jameson Williams, I believe in year 3 now, really needs to be that guy, like when you say teams key in on Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Low ankle sprain for Sam Laporta.
That's right.
Doubt on his availability in week 4.
So
So maybe we don't see him.
This won't be the week.
I just think
I think even if he's out there.
great as a year that he had last year. And maybe they don't.
If he's healthy, he's going to be out there and he's going to be productive. That's just who he is.
Yeah, whether he's blocking or catching passes.
Yeah.
And maybe, I mean, I can't say too much. I mean, the Lions are, they're winning and they're playing pretty well. So,
Ragnar's also a significant injury for them. So
yeah,
we'll see if that offensive line has any struggles getting adjusted. Without him in the middle, torn pec. So I don't know how long he'll be out. He's a tough guy. So we'll see. Should we bring it back here to the UP?
Let's do it.
Talk a little NMU and Tech, both on bye weeks, their football teams this week. So definitely comes at a good time for NMU. When is it not a good time to have a week off for them? Now 0-4, not looking good. 15 straight losses.
I mean, it is tough. I will say, 27 points. That's the most points that they scored in a while.
Maybe under Shane Richardson.
Maybe.
Definitely close.
Definitely close.
No,
yeah.
they're not losing these games like they did last year. I think that's the encouraging part.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they're still losing.
Yeah. We did see kind of a quarterback change in their last week's game.
I do want to talk about that because I'm curious to see where they go with that.
Yeah.
44-27, they lost to Alma, their homecoming game, Division III opponent. A really good D3 team, but still a D3 team. And they lost by, 17, couple of possessions. So the quarterback change that you're talking about was Aiden Horde coming to the sideline for a lot of that second half. He got snaps in the second half, but it was very predictable when he was going to be out there. They were going to be throwing the ball. And when it was Austin Riddle, Marquette guy, transferred from Tech, which is really interesting. Yeah. Actually, he was behind center not throwing the ball. They were running options.
Yeah.
So that's where I say it got pretty predictable, even though it worked with Riddle behind center, and they were able to move the ball, and Nico Lukarainen went for a touchdown. So I liked it, but now they just put that on tape. So if you trot Riddle out there in your first GLIAC game against Saginaw, well, they
know
saw
you're going to run the ball.
Exactly what you did with Riddle running those options. I don't know if they have the same kind of success doing that again against a conference opponent. So at the same time, Aiden Horde hasn't looked that great. I don't know how much confidence he can have, though, not throwing the ball very much and then coming out in this game where that can't really inspire a quarterback, a true sophomore quarterback who's still trying to get his legs under him out on the field, and you're taking him out. So I don't know. I don't know what the fix is, but Austin Riddle's a little guy. He's not going to be throwing the ball downfield like Aiden Horde has, and he's still getting intercepted, and that's a problem because you can't expect to win these games where you're behind the 8 ball and the opposing defense getting takeaways. That's not a good recipe. So I don't know. That's why I say I'm very curious to see what they do. Now, Horde attempted 23 passes in the Alma game. He was most all season, correct. Yeah. He was 9 for 23. That's just not a good clip. He threw for a touchdown. He threw 2 picks. He hasn't been good, but has he been given the opportunities? Now, Riddle, like I said, was out there quite a bit, but he only threw the ball once.
Yeah. I will say, and I've watched a few of Northern's home games. Some of those passes should be complete. Some of those passes hit you in the hands or the helmet.
Yeah, no, he hasn't been perfect, but I think
he hasn't been where they need to be.
I don't know. It almost goes to if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one situation. So who's going to be out there?
Yeah. I mean, and if
Saginaw at home coming up out of the bye week at Grand Valley, that's a loss. And then you're coming back home for that Roosevelt game that we circled a long time ago.
that is the one.
And if they lose their first 2 GLIAC games, they will be 0-6, 0-17 under Shane Richardson.
Yeah, I mean, it's they have, Northern Michigan has said that they want to establish the run. If it's me, when I'm going against Saginaw here, your first GLIAC game, regardless, because they're going to see it on tape, right? By this time, everybody has watched everybody on tape.
They have the backs. They've been good running the ball.
So put it on the ground every time.
Ells and Rouse only got 3 carries in that Alma game. Jai Wood has been good all season, and then Luca Reinen, 2 touchdowns, was really good in the Alma game. So they've been able to run the ball, but their defense been setting them back. They also allowed the most points in the season with 44 to Alma.
Yeah. And you're not, if you are not throwing the ball, it's not going to be a shootout scoring affair, right? You're not going to outscore.
Right, you wouldn't expect it to be.
I mean, I compare it to, a high school football here in the UP. Nagani very rarely throws it, but look at their wins. It's all been 20-7 or 29-0 or.
They can do that because they have a good defense.
They stop on defense.
Obviously, it's a different level, but it's applicable with the way they play football.
And I'm here for Northern. If you're going to run the ball, run the ball. But then on the defensive side, you have to get stops. You have to come away with takeaways, because if you're going to run the ball and that's going to be your main concentration, that's great. And
the secondary's been hurting them with the big explosive plays, and Shane Richardson talked about that when they played at Kentucky Wesleyan. It's like we're hanging in there, but then there's
a slip up,
a series in the third quarter where they go 3 and out, and then they allow explosive play. It was 40-plus yards, I think, and they went from being down less than 1 score to now it being a 2-possession game, and they're just, again, behind the 8 ball, and they can't expect to win a game like that. Want to talk about a team that beat up on a D3 school this past week?
They looked
really good. The 13th ranked team in Division III, Wisconsin Oshkosh, got blown out by the Michigan Tech Huskies on Saturday, 44-7. I really like what Tech has done since that heartbreaker week 1 to Bemidji on the road, and then they go to overtime against South Dakota Mines, a game I don't think they should have been going to overtime in. I think they should have handled business there in their home opener, but at the same time, it took a big-time second-half comeback to get there, and that was really impressive. And then they handled business with Hillsdale at home, although Dan Metlack wasn't that pleased after that one. But at the same time, they won 21-6, and then they really, really put it together this week at Oshkosh. Just very impressive showing, both sides of the ball. I want to ask you about the Tech defense, because I asked Dan with the loss of Mark Sipple, which happened, I believe, in the Week 2 game against South Dakota Mines, a leader on that defense who's, vocal leader, communicating with the sideline more than anyone. That had to be an adjustment, and they've really, laid it on these teams defensively. 6 points allowed against Hillsdale, 7 points against Oshkosh. They look really good on that side of the ball, which is huge for the Huskies.
Yeah, it is. It is huge for them, and I think these first 2 games in GLIAC play in 2024 are really going to tell us how Michigan Tech is going to be the rest of the season. They did not the first one. They opened with Wayne State this year, a game that they should have won. We've talked about that. Should have beat Wayne State. Yeah. And then last year, Davenport, where they looked not good.
No, I like to say that was their worst game of the 2023 season, where the offense couldn't move the ball, and they gave up 4 touchdowns to Davenport, and it was over. So I agree. Yeah, 2 big weeks for Tech.
And if they get these, then it's like, okay.
Then they already have more conference wins than they did last year.
Yeah, and here's my thing. They're going to beat Northern. So if they get these 2, they're 3-0 in conference.
They have Ferris in between Davenport and NMU. So you like to think that's probably a loss.
Yeah. So 3-1.
Yeah, if they win the next 2.
Yeah.
Northern game's a lock.
Yeah.
Miners Cup is staying in Houghton.
They probably beat Roosevelt. I would give them that.
Yeah.
So 4-1 Grand Valley is going to be
I don't know. Is Roosevelt a trap game? 1 o'clock in the suburbs of Chicago. There's going to be no one there.
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm going to give them 4-1, and then they have, and I'm gonna look at it here, just their schedule, so I don't say anything wrong. So Wayne State Davenport win, 2-0 in conference, 2-1 after a loss to Ferris State, 3-1 against Northern Michigan, 4-1 against Roosevelt. Grand Valley State, I think Michigan Tech has the capabilities to play with Grand Valley State and make that a very, very competitive game. I don't know if they have the ability to beat Grand Valley State. And I don't say that as they
No,
can't.
I agree, and it's at home.
Yeah. That's a tall task. Now, if they
I don't
win,
know. I think 4-3 in conference is totally attainable. Maybe you slip up against Wayne State or Davenport, but then you have NMU and Roosevelt, and I think that Saginaw game is a little bit of a toss-up. That's on the road to close out the season.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, a plus that you don't have to play in Houghton on November 16th. Don't imagine that one will be too fun. They will be playing in Houghton on November 9th, though. So maybe Grand Valley's not ready for that. I don't know.
So if they, let's say
I agree with you that these two games next on their schedule coming out of their bye, Wayne and Davenport at home, got to have them.
Yeah, got to have them. Got to take care of business at home. Two teams. Well, Wayne State definitely should have beat last year. And,
Davenport, you got to play better.
You got to play better, right? And then I think that you beat them if you play better. If they play like they played against Wisconsin Oshkosh, they're going to be in a good position. So I say 5-3 in conference. I'm gonna give them that Saginaw Valley game. So they're 8-4 overall in 2024. It's not a bad place to be.
Yeah, no, it's not. Only 7 conference games, so they'd be 4-3 in conference.
Sorry.
That's where I think the mark should be. Yeah, we'll see. You get a break this weekend, then they're both at home on October the 5th. Want to talk soccer?
Yeah.
Women's soccer, because the number 1 team in the country was in the UP this past weekend. Both NMU and Tech fell, but pretty strong showings from both of them.
Yeah.
NMU, I know the bar is a little higher because you did beat them last year, but it's early in the season. You were out there. What'd you see from Sandy's squad?
Yeah, I mean, they looked, and I'm going to use a direct quote, they looked great for 88 minutes.
Right.
And you got to play, at one point it was just not 100%. And Grand Valley is a team, when the other team's not playing at 100%, they're going to make you pay for your mistakes. And that's what Grand Valley did. I think that it was a great response from Northern Michigan on their following game. You lose 1-0 at home against the number 1 team in the nation, a team that you beat, a team that you know you can beat. Then you come out on Sunday and get the job done, or Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm getting my days confused. Get the job done 3-0. So you would rather have a loss like that at the beginning of the year and kind of
totally
check yourself, and then playing your best soccer at the end of the year. So I think executing in the final third is a big part for the Northern Michigan squad, because they move the ball very well.
Yeah.
But it's capitalizing when you get those opportunities, which they did have in that game against Grand Valley. In that final third, when you get it in there, you get the ball in the box, or you send it in, you got to find ways to finish.
Well, held scoreless against Grand Valley, 1-0. I mean, they played pretty good defense over the course of that game. But, really good response on Sunday in that win over Davenport. Now, for Tech, Friday, very encouraging against Davenport when they were in Houghton, that you go down 1, and then Julia Pietola
says, I got you.
Yeah, comes and saves the day, really. 2 goals. That second one, horrid angle she had on the goal. She finds a way to put it in.
Yeah.
Melissa Kuhar was talking about, a lot of these goals she's been scoring haven't been pretty, but she's gotten them in, and that's what counts.
Good teams find a way to win, and sometimes gritty soccer is the way to get it done.
Find a way to score.
Find a way to score. Find a way to equalize. Find a way to get a result. Michigan Tech did that against Davenport to get that win.
And then they had a lead against Grand Valley.
Yeah. And
1-0, and unfortunately, right away in the second half, Grand Valley scores, and then scores again to put it away. But also, another thing Kuhar mentioned was they know they were very close in that game against the top-ranked team.
It gives them a lot of fire
For
and a
sure,
lot of passion,
absolutely.
knowing, hey, we just played the number 1 team in the nation. Yeah, we lost, but we know what we did wrong. Again, it was that case of also that second goal, ball in the box, it stopped dead, really right in the middle, not sent away, and they just, sometimes the ball comes right to you.
Yeah.
Right to you, and it did. And Grand Valley State has great attackers, and she put it in.
By the way, Julia Pietola, senior now, been there a while, obviously a new coach this year. Seems like she's adjusting very well. 4 goals in 5 games.
Yeah.
Scored in 3 out of the last 4. She's been awesome.
She's been great
as a leader for them.
And she will continue to be great for them all season.
She was great last year
She was great last year.
when she didn't have to do as much.
They will also have to find someone else that is able to score a
Agreed.
goal.
Right.
Because, again, teams, especially in the GLIAC,
She's carrying a heavy load right now.
they're going to key in that, hey, she's a prolific goal scorer. She can put it in from anywhere, right? She'll find an angle. We've seen that. So they're going to key in on that, and you're going to see them press her and try to get the ball away from her. So my next thing for Michigan Tech is who's going to step up and be able to find a goal when they need it, when, Pietola is covered and is not able to get that. And they have the squad to do that, and they will. Someone will emerge.
Yeah, both those teams on the road this weekend. We have volleyball coming home. We'll talk in a second. Do you want to touch on NMU men's soccer? What Alex Vodovich had to say? Tough weekend for them. How they're feeling and how they're trying to regroup here.
Yeah, a set piece score gives them the lead. You saw that, a ball into the box, and again, it was that case of great play up until a period of, I would say, like 2.5 minutes. I watched all 90 minutes of that match, and a great period of play. They go down 1-0. And they find a way to equalize, and the energy's back. And again, it's that, and that is soccer in a nutshell. It's if you're not on for 90 minutes, and the other team is, you're at a big disadvantage. And that was the thing. A ball into the box, it doesn't get sent away again, and they're gonna put it in the back of the net. One thing I do want to touch on about Northern Michigan is the card count right now. How many yellow cards they have. And how that works, right? You get too many yellow cards, I believe it's 5, you have to sit. And they're teetering on.
It has been a lot.
Yeah.
And the game I was out there for, that was no exception either.
Yeah. And that is a big thing when you think about their captain, Tommaso Lamy, has a couple yellow cards.
So did Vodovich talk about discipline at all for this team? I know he likes this group a lot.
Yes.
And, he brought them in with the message of, playing winning soccer.
He did.
On a daily basis.
He did talk about how they have to be more disciplined, and those yellow cards are not warranted. Now, yellow cards happen, and sometimes they're warranted. Sometimes you are going for the ball.
Yeah, right.
But there's a difference between, a hard foul for no reason, and it's not preventing anything. It's not you hard foul to stop a goal opportunity.
Yeah.
They've got to be smarter, because if you have to have your guys sit. Now, yes, he has a deep bench. He has guys that can go in.
Right.
He has guys that can fill those roles, but you don't want your guys sitting. So they played. By the time people are watching this, they will have played today. So we'll see today. Can they contain themselves and not pick up cards?
Yeah, right. You're about to head out there. They're 0-1 in the GLIAC after that loss to St. Cloud State. It's a tough weekend. Purdue Northwest received votes in the D2 poll, and then on Sunday, Parkside ranked number 21. So both at home. It's a 4-game homestand now for the men's team at NMU. So we'll see how they do.
Yeah.
Volleyball, real quick. Good weekend for NMU.
Yeah.
3-0 sweep over Parkside, and then a 5-setter over Purdue Northwest. Good start to the GLIAC, 2-0 now. After what was kind of a disappointing UP Open where they lost at home, opening up Vandeman Arena. They're back there. Their first GLIAC match in the new arena Friday night against Davenport, so that one should be fun. I like where both of these teams are at, frankly.
They are
About Tech and NMU.
They are both doing very good things. You know, listening to Mike Lozier and Matt and what they've said about what they have to do to improve, to continue to improve, and they're playing good. I think a key for Northern, I really do. They have a lot of weapons, but I think a key is just having Jackie Smith on the floor and that leadership that is on the floor when she's there.
Keeping her healthy.
I think another one, Megan Meyer, what she's done both offensively but defensively, having those key pieces there in the front gives all those younger players just confidence, and they dangerous.
Yeah, the vets.
Dangerous.
The vets, I think, is really big for both of these teams. Think about Northern with Meyer and Smith have been there for a long time, and then Ellie Barlow, their center's younger, just a sophomore, but I think that helps her a lot having the experience on the outside. Pretty huge. Now Tech 1-1 against those two teams this weekend, 4-set win over Purdue Northwest, and then they lose in 5 against Parkside, their first 5-set loss, first 5-setter of the year. So they lose that one on the road in Kenosha, and then both these teams coming home for Ferris State and Davenport this weekend. And you know, you're going to have losses like that over the course of a season. It's a long season for volleyball. You know, you're thinking about playing 2 matches pretty much every weekend.
Yeah.
Those 5-set losses are going to happen, but better to let them happen now.
True. Play your best.
And
yeah.
Matt Jennings was very adamant about improving defensively, just every step of the way. Just coming up with digs when you need them. That's back line, blocking at the net as well. So we'll see if they make any improvements there. I know that's where he really wanted to hone in on in practice this week. Meg Robbie, led the team in kills in both of those matches this weekend. She's another vet now for that Tech team. They've kind of had an easy time. I don't want to say easy, replacing Lindia Jury, who was exceptional last year as their outside hitter, number 1 hitter. But Robbie's really stepped up, and like NMU, they have a younger setter in Tess Hayes, who's done a pretty dang good job so far too.
Yeah.
We'll see if those two teams can pick up wins this weekend. We'll be out there tomorrow and tonight as well. So we'll have that on Friday Night Fever. Let's wrap up with high school football. Recap last week a little bit. I know you might be listening to this after Week 5 is pretty much in the books with Friday Night Football this evening. But going back to last week, our big game of the week, huge game of the week.
Yeah.
Between Negaunee and Kingsford, and Kingsford hangs on to beat the Miners 29-26. Now, I was down there, had to get back for Friday Night Fever, left when it was 29-8, Kingsford. So they fell apart a little bit in the second half. That was in the third quarter after the fake punt, which I've talked a lot about because I thought it was awesome. Jack Kriegel back to punt. I believe he is their normal punter, so it wasn't a different look. But Gavin Grondin sneaks out, and they get the first down, score on that possession. And I believe that was the last time they scored. And then Nick Navarro threw a pick 6, which helped the Miners get back in the game. But Kingsford hangs on. They're 4-0, ranked number 2. Negaunee, I think, will be all right.
Yeah.
But a tough loss, against a team that they did beat very narrowly by 1 point last season.
Yeah, and I think it was the Negaunee surge in that second half and playing their game. And
if they just bowed out, you wouldn't feel as good about a loss.
Yeah, but they didn't.
To Kingsford.
They didn't bow out. You're playing obviously another great team, a team that's ranked in the top 5 in the UP.
Yeah.
So they'll be okay. But also, again, you get the gut check here I will say relatively early in the season. I know we're about midway now probably, but if you get the gut check early in the season, you can take that, learn from it, and then here these next 5-6 weeks, I expect Nagani to play with just a little bit more fire. And if you're Kingsford, you have to keep playing with the fire that you're playing with, right?
Also, there's a get-right game for Nagani this evening against Hancock at home.
Yeah.
Hancock has struggled.
Nagani should take care of business. You're at your home field.
I believe homecoming this evening at Minor Stadium. So, yeah, it's a good one to bounce back with. Same deal for Marquette.
Yeah.
Who lost their first game of the season on the road at Lowell.
Not pretty.
No, they got blown out.
61-14. Yeah.
That was the final, yeah. Not good for the Sentinels, but at the same time, they go to the Sioux tonight. The Sioux is 0-4, I think. Eski stomped them at the Eskimos' place last weekend. So another get-right game for Marquette.
Yeah.
Lowell must be pretty good.
Yeah. Because Marquette, they looked really good.
They just then they never got off the bus in Lowell.
Yeah, it's difficult playing those teams, that people.
I imagine they had some tape, but at the end of the day, you don't really know anything about a Lowell team that's 6 hours away.
Yeah.
Petoskey or Alpena might be a different story because you have played them pretty much every year for the last couple.
But again, gut check game. Marquette gets back on track tonight. I'm going to say with a win. And
then they have Eski at home the following week.
Which
I think Marquette's the better team, but that one's a little bit more interesting than Marquette and the Sioux. The Sioux's just not as good as they were last year.
Yeah, struggling.
They're just not quite there. But, yeah, good one for Marquette to get back on track. The number one team in 11-man this week, as they should be, the Menominee Maroons. They've taken care of business through 4 weeks pretty much without fail. Marinette for the M&M game week 1, and then they beat up on Hancock, go to Westwood. That's their road win. Gave up 19 points, I believe, so that's the most points they've given up in a game, but that one was never really in doubt. And then our game of the week, Houghton comes to town tonight at Blesh Field. 2-2 Gremlins. They've played pretty well.
Yeah, I would say a fiery team. Fiery team.
For sure, with some playmakers, because they lost week 1 to Iron Mountain, a game they led at halftime, and then they lost week 2 at Kingsford. We know Kingsford's a really good team. And then they have these games, Hancock took care of them. Westwood, we didn't really know how that one would go, and they took care of Westwood no problem. Yeah. And credit to the Gremlins. I was up there on Tuesday, as I mentioned, talking to their coach. They lost their quarterback, who was their starter last year, Oscar Peterson, that Kingsford game. Jay Hallinan, a guy we've been talking about a lot on Friday Night Fever, because he's made a lot of highlight-worthy plays, was their running back before, and now he's just taking snaps as the quarterback, and their line's been really good. I imagine that'll be a lot tougher against Menominee this evening.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to respect what Houghton's done. After losing their quarterback, that's not an easy thing to go through. Give the flowers to Jay Hallinan and that line. They've been putting a lot of points up the past 2 weeks. No,
they have. It'll be interesting to see with travel. Houghton, does that play an effect on them?
Yeah.
They're on the road. Bleshfield is, with
it's gonna be hopping.
With the new, redone bleachers and the kind of the stadium facelift, I'll say.
Yeah.
It's going to be loud there. It's going to be a different environment. At the same time, on the flip side, Menominee, you have to bring it. You're the top team in the UP right now. You have to assert your dominance.
They know it, too. I love talking to those guys. I chatted with them on Zoom on Wednesday. But, man, they're on it after last year.
After, I think it makes everybody a little bit
They're
more
on a mission a little bit.
Yeah. You see
even it. They don't care that they lost a lot of playmakers on offense. Yeah. Talking about Trevor Turkoff and Landon Bardowski, who were awesome
because they have
in the backfield a year ago.
Filled those spots.
Absolutely, they do. Some of them even juniors, like the quarterback Tanner Turkoff, and he explained his mentality when he's out there. he's just having fun because Menominee's offense isn't typical. You don't have to be the quarterback standing in the pocket. Actually, I believe Chad Brandt would probably discourage that.
Yeah.
Because when they get the ball to the outside, good things happen, whether the ball's in Turcoff's hands or not.
Yeah.
He's just been doing an exceptional job leading this offense. You know, he's not going to throw the ball downfield too much. I think Trevor did a little bit more. They have more guys touching the ball, and Chad Brandt told me that would be the case in the preseason. And no one's been able to stop it so far. I don't have a ton of faith that Houghton will be able to because this Menominee offense is so dynamic.
Yeah.
I just certainly think they have a chance, but Turcoff with his size too. We've talked about that. He's a lot bigger than his brother.
His ability to see over that line, and you know, his agility and his movement, and maybe throwing a little bit more awkward. It's just it benefits the Maroons in that offense.
And a lot of teams, a lot of players in the UP can't match up with that size.
Yeah,
at that position when he's running downfield. And I talked to Tanner about laying blocks too, because he'll do that when the ball's not in his hands.
Yeah, we saw that. We saw that on the highlight reel.
That Westwood game. I made sure to get that in there because that's really impressive.
Yeah.
See your quarterback hand the ball off and then go out there and truck somebody.
Go out there and lay a block hard. Menominee is hungry. I saw it when I was down there at their game. They have the photo of them up there from Ford Field last year, and it says never forget and redemption, and they want to go back there. And you know, they've still got games left. It's still a process to get there, but they're on their way.
It's been really impressive so far. Let's go to 8-player. Thinking about the Pickford-Ishpeming game last Friday, which we didn't shoot, but I expected Ishpeming to be in there a little bit more. Yeah. Pickford, we mentioned we don't get out there very often, but they're a really good team at 4-0, and that's why they jumped Forest Park this week.
Yeah, they are checking names off the list.
Yeah.
And that's how I have to.
We're going to be talking about one of these 5 teams. I'm looking at the 8-player football poll right now.
It's
I think one of these teams probably wins a state championship, and at least one other is in it.
And is in it, yeah.
That's how I feel right now. So how it looks on the poll: Pickford number 1. I mentioned they jumped Forest Park, who's number 2, also undefeated. Munising is 4-0. Carson Keenan's been really good. Trevor Nolan, guys we talked about on the basketball court last year.
So
they're a really good team. They're 4-0. They're ranked 3rd. Norway's 3-1, only lost to Forest Park. They're number 4, and then North Central, they're 3-1, only lost to Pickford. Yeah. These teams are going to end up cannibalizing each other a little bit, like I think will be the case in the Westpac, in the division that Menominee, Kingsford, and Negaunee are in, where they just kind of beat up on each other. But yeah, 5 really good teams here that I think can make a push later on. And like I said, among those 5 teams, the only losses on the board have come, within that group.
Yeah. So it's anybody's game in that poll. You can't rule out North Central because of their historic success, and they're hungry and they want to get back, and they know that, right? I think last year after Lakeland and Hubble beat North Central understood that, hey, we have been at the top, but everybody else has gotten a little bit better every single year, so we have to raise our game. Lakeland and Hubble taking on Newberry. I have to talk about that game.
Yeah, on Saturday.
That
was sweet.
Lakeland and Hubble lost some guys from last year, graduated, but in a younger team, but they're down. And I was like, oh, this might be over quick. Newberry was...
It's been kind of a tough go of it for the Lakes.
Yeah. And then they get the ball and they score, and I'm like, okay, it's 28-18.
You just don't see comebacks like that.
You don't.
Very often in high school football, and we almost saw it at Kingsford on Friday, and then Saturday the Lakes got it done. What was the final, 40-30?
42-40, or no, 40-30. Yeah, you're right, 40-30. Yeah.
After being down 30-8.
Yeah.
Very impressive from the Lakes. They go to Forest Park tonight.
Big test.
Are the Trojans on upset watch?
I think so.
I think they're the better team, but
Lakeland and Hubble is going to play with fire. They're young, but Brady Axford, quarterback, man, Sneaky. He's not that big.
And then the
Sneaky.
onside kick was
Then the
awesome.
onside kick.
I don't know
Holbrook.
what is the rule about
think
how
it's-
far does it
I
have
think
to
it's
go?
10 yards, 5 yards?
That did not go 10 yards.
I think it went 7. I don't know.
Okay, so maybe the rule
Well-
is 5 yards in high school or in 8-man.
Yeah.
I don't know
mean-
that rule. We're not
Yeah, we're
claiming
not-
to be
yeah, we're
experts,
not claiming to be
but,
but hey,
it was
touched-
successful.
It touched a Newberry guy, popped out, and Lakeland Hubble gets the ball back.
Yeah.
So I'm here for it,
That was sweet. And we had an onside in one of the games on Friday, too, in addition to the fake punt, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Heck of a way to start our show. A little trickery.
I like the trickery and the onside kick and the things that we've seen these UP teams add. You've got to steal possession sometimes.
I 100% agree.
And I'm here for it, man. Let's do it.
Look, with the way that Nagani-Kingsford game ended up,
Yeah.
if you actually punt the ball there and Nagani goes the length of the field, or pretty close, you're talking about a much different game. So I like that move by Mark Navarro.
A top 5 plays of onside kicks only. If you're watching, UP coaches.
Well, we never get them in the NFL anymore.
No.
And they have to announce it. There's no
We
Sean
are
Payton
onside kicking.
Super Bowl
Yeah.
onside. That does not exist anymore.
Yeah.
Just because of the formation, you have to bring the guys up. It makes sense. It just kind of stinks. So, yeah, more onsides in high school ball.
Yeah. And flea flickers and
Let's
trick
make it
plays
happen.
and- yeah.
All right. Well, I think that'll do it for this edition of UP Power. For Keegan Cooper, I'm Kevin McNulty. Tune in to Friday Night Fever this evening for all the updates on these games happening tonight. And then we'll see you back here on Tuesday. I'm pretty sure we'll be back for another edition of the pod. So thanks for being here.